Hey guys, welcome to another edition of The Way Outlined. Pastor Nick, Pastor Alex here. We're so excited. Happy New Year. We hope that your holidays Christmas was awesome and all these different things. Congratulations, you made it to 2021, right? We were waiting for the entire year to be over with. We were waiting for 2020 just to be over. Anyone remember the month of March? The month of 2020 is a weird year
Still feels like the month of March.
because it felt like the longest year on planet Earth, but the quickest year at the same time. Like the month of March was 6 months long. You remember that? But now we're at 2021. It's like, oh my goodness. And we're starting a brand new series that we titled Fresh Start. With a new year, we get a fresh start, right? A fresh perspective where we've all been waiting for 2020 to be over, to go into 2021 and have this fresh start experience. But we believe there's some elements that we're going to talk about the next few weeks that we have to align ourselves with Christ to have a great year, a great start, and a fresh start to everything that God has for us. This week, we're talking about perspective, that you and I, we have to have fresh perspective and God's perspective as we move into 2021. But the problem is that sometimes when we come to a new year and we think about changing and want to change, that's all it is a thought. We're like, we're going to change, we're going to be better. And the only thing that really happens is that you and I get older, which isn't fun, which isn't good. For me, I get fatter. That's not good. When we move into 2021, we just don't want to stay the same. We want to be different. But the problem is that you and I have is that we don't really want to do life any other way but our own. You ever been there before? Where I only want to do my life one way. I want to view my life through one perspective, and my perspective that helps me and makes me better. But that's not what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about doing life in God's way from God's perspective. And our Bible reading today is from the book of Exodus. Let me get there. Come on. Here we go. Exodus 3:11 through 12 says, "But Moses said to God, 'Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?' Verse 12, "And God said, 'I will be with you, and this will be the sign that this will be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on the mountain.'" So the book of Exodus is about this guy named Moses. And Moses will be a central theme and the character of our time together. Pastor Alex, break it down.
Yeah, so at this point in Moses' life, Moses is actually a fugitive, right? He's living, he's
I'm gonna put a mask on.
Oh my gosh. So he's a fugitive, and he used to live in Egypt. He actually was a really high-ranking, important person in the land of Egypt. He lived in the palace, with the family, with Pharaoh's family and everything like that as well. So Moses was an important person in Egypt, and then he killed somebody. He killed another Egyptian, and Pharaoh was not happy about that. Pharaoh obviously wasn't happy about that, and he wanted to kill Moses as a result. And so Moses ran away from Egypt, and he ran into the desert. And when he got into the desert, he found a family of shepherds, basically. And this family welcomed him in, and he got married. He married into the family, and he was there for 40 years. 40 years, though. His entire life was lived in this place. Yep. His entire life was basically lived in this place in Egypt, and outside of Egypt, in the desert. It's crazy. And so now he's at this point in his life where he's like, you know what? My life is basically over. My life is basically done. I've lived my life. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty solid. But like,
I know my sheep.
I was going to be somebody important, right? Sure. I was going to be somebody important in life, but you know what? Now I'm a fugitive. You know what? I'm okay though.
Whatever.
I'm okay. Whatever. Exactly. It's a kind of whatever moment where nothing's changed for 40 years. He's been doing the same thing for 40 years. He's been a shepherd, one of the lowest people in society at that point, for 40 years. From being this high-ranking guy to this low guy for 40 years. Nobody. You can expect that this guy probably at some point wanted to change, and he finally gave up on saying, "Oh, there's a change." And then one day, a bush catches on fire. And curiosity took the better of him, right? Like, he's like, this is interesting. That bush is on fire. How did it catch on fire? And he gets closer and he realizes it's not burning. Yeah. That's weird.
It's flamed on, but it's not like...
In case you don't know that, fire is supposed to consume things, and then all of a sudden it starts disappearing, right? But this bush wasn't being consumed by the fire. It was still there. And so he gets closer and he finds out it's God. God shows up to Moses in that moment, and there's this whole experience that he has. But in that moment, something occurs. Again, Moses doesn't think that he's not worth anything at all. He's just a lowly shepherd at this point, And God says, hey, I want you to go fulfill a promise that I have given to my people for 400 years. It's a promise that he grew up knowing about the Jews, that he grew up knowing about the Israelites, that God was going to save them out of the land of Egypt. And now God is calling Moses to do that. And Moses is like, who am I, God?
Wow.
Who am I that I should do this? I'm nobody. I'm nothing. And God doesn't say anything about that statement. God doesn't say anything about Moses thinking he's nobody or ain't nothing at all. All God says is this: I will be with you. I will be with you. God's change of perspective that he wanted Moses to have is to realize that God is with him. Why is this important? It answers Moses' question of why God would choose someone so worthless and pointless by just saying, I'm with you. I'm with you. Sometimes our perspective of ourselves is harsher than reality. Sometimes we forget that being called a Christian means that God will go with us wherever we go. Yeah. That means that you are able to do whatever God called you to do because he is with you. That's the promise that he's given to us. I mean, just this past month, we celebrated Christmas, and there's a name that comes around at that time period for Jesus. The name is Emmanuel. Emmanuel means God with us. Yep. That is who Jesus is in our life. That's who God is in our life. He is with us constantly. And that is the perspective that we need to begin to have here in 2021. That even if nothing changes, even if everything continues as the same, we can say and step back and say, you know what? My new perspective, the perspective I choose to have, is that God is with us.
We came out of 2020 out of a season of isolation. In 2021, you need to know and have the perspective. And the thing about having a godly perspective and thinking about the things of Christ and thinking that God is with you is that it goes beyond your own understanding. You have to remind yourself that as we're transitioning out of this isolated year, which some of you might still be isolated, you might still feel alone. God is with you. He's never left you. He's never forsaken you. As we start off this series, Fresh Start, our fresh perspective is that God is with us, that he is with you right now. Whatever screen you're watching, whatever room you're sitting in, he's with you right now. That you don't have to be isolated. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to be wallowing in your own self-pity or your depression. God is with you right now. And we're praying that the Holy Spirit is going to meet you where you're at right now. And he's going to confirm that in you. Guys, we love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Super excited. At the end of this month, on January 29th, we have this thing that's going to be happening called Real Night. It's going to be this hybrid online event. Not hybrid, a hybrid meaning YouTube Live, and then it's going to go through Zoom. It's an online event only. First one we're going to do of the year. It's called Real Night. More info to come. We're so excited about it. Again, Pastor Alex and I, we're praying for you all the time. We miss you. We love you. If you need anything, if you need to talk, if you need to chat, if you need a funny Star Wars meme, he's got you. That's what I'm saying. If you need anything, let us know. We are looking forward to all that God has in this new year because we're believing truly that the best is yet to come. Have a great week.